This is a note to future me, dated March 14th, 2018. And yes, I'm putting a date to it. I had a comment from a listener who was asking, why don't you put dates on your podcast? And it's like, well, I don't know. Don't want to make it any harder for anybody else to figure out dates, so I'll start adding them, not a problem. And I do encourage comments about the podcast. You can email me at podcasts@circle270media.com. It's plural, podcasts at circle270media.com. Great day, middle of the March. It's almost like Christmas for podcasters, at least. The gloom of mid-March, spring almost here, but yet not. It's the cruelest month, as the poet says. But we do get some results from the Edison Research's Infinity Dial. Of course, this year being 2018, it's dated 2018. Great results for podcasters. Percentages up on a lot of things, and growth is growth. It doesn't have to be leaps and bounds as long as it's growth. And nobody else grows around it, we're in good shape. Some highlights of it include 64% of Americans 12 plus know what a podcast is. That's up from 60% from last year. 44% of Americans say they've ever listened to a podcast. That was 40% last year. 17% listened to a podcast last week. That was 15% last year. The average number of podcasts listened to last week has increased to 7. However, 48% of weekly listeners listen to 3 or less, which, again, the numbers of how many you listen to are interesting. And considering our time constraints, 3 to 5 to 7 probably make a lot of sense depending on the length of the podcast. Podcast listeners listen most often at home. That's at 49%. In cars, 22% say they listen most to podcasts in their car. That's up from 18% last year. And 23% say they listen to a podcast in the car within the last month. This piece, I don't know how many people are really going to talk about it. I have a radio background, so I've been in radio the past 35 plus years. And of course, every competitor to radio is always talked about and thrown in your face, and we worry about it, and we are anxious about all this. But podcasts are now listened to more than satellite radio. Satellite radio was the nemesis for radio. I think podcasts may turn into a nemesis for radio in the long run if radio doesn't watch out. Only 19% listen to podcasts at a faster speed than normal. That's trivia, but it's interesting. A full presentation is available at the Edison Research website, and I'll have a link on that as well in the podcast show notes. Thanks for taking notes with me. This is a note to future me.